How you doing, everybody? It's your old pal, James Larson from 94.1 KRNA Radio right here in beautiful downtown Cedar Rapids. Welcome to the Craft Beer Corner. As always, I'm joined with my two best friends. I've got my good buddy, Drew Knutson, over here from the Mellow Mushroom.
Cheers.
And I've got Kirk Hayden from Metro Studios.
Good morning.
All right, guys, we're going to drink some beers in a minute, but the other day on Facebook, I got invited to attend some kind of a tap takeover. Now, I'm learning the lingo here of the craft beer world, but Drew, explain to our viewers, our listeners, what the hell is a tap takeover?
One of your 7 friends sent you an invite.
Yeah, and how did he get an invite for a tap takeover? I mean, what, seven Bud Light taps?
7 Bud Lights, and then maybe a little cranberry pull too there. But yeah,
so
what is a tap takeover?
Is really a fun event if you've never had an opportunity to partake in one. It's the opportunity of an establishment and a brewery to link together and obviously showcase their beer. That's what it's all about. And typically, not always, but typically a tap takeover is a brewery that's well outside your area. So they're coming in, gives you a chance to go to a mini tasting room of their brewery right in your favorite establishment or establishment very close to your house.
So with the tap takeover for Franklin Street, which we're going to talk about at your establishment in Iowa City, for people in Iowa City, they don't have to drive all the way to Manchester, Iowa to be able to experience a tap room, several of their beers. That's the advantage for the consumer, right?
Yeah, the tap takeover, absolutely. More advantage to the consumer more than anybody because, yes, they don't have the drive. They can take advantage of more than just 1 or 2 beers, and that's what the tap takeover. And obviously it highlights the establishment and gives the brewer some more face time.
But you and I had a pretty good time this summer driving to Manchester, Iowa. We saw Cheap Trick. We'll talk about that on another show. But you guys had a very successful tap over. We're going to do the same thing right now with Franklin Street. So let's just delve right into this first beer. I love the name of this. It's the River Runner. It's a Hefeweizen, 5.3%. I've had this before on my radio show. I got to say, guys, one of my favorites.
Yeah, the Hefeweizen. Now, this Hefeweizen, I got to give it to Chad and his brother up there. This Hefeweizen is a true to the style of Hefeweizen because a true Hefeweizen will make you squint a little bit on the finish. It's not tart. It just has that strong Hefeweizen, that strong German finish to it.
And Kirk, define Hefeweizen for the folks that don't know what Hefeweizen might mean.
Well, for me, and what does it mean for me? It is that strong German style, that definite, very distinctive taste, which is not an area that I like to gravitate towards. But this, it's a little tamer on the finish than some, which for me is going to be a little more in my wheelhouse. So
I feel like we should be having a schnitzel with this, though, or something. What would you?
If I only knew what that was.
You don't know what a schnitzel is?
I have no idea.
I thought you were part German.
Gesundheit.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Beer number 2. I love the name of this too. Faux Rose Deep.
Rose Deep, baby.
Faux Rose Deep. This is good stuff.
Hey now,
5.2% ABV, and I haven't tried this one yet, so this is my first time. My palate will be enjoying the Faux Rose Deep.
Yeah, the 4 Rose Deep is a dunkel, is the style of beer, and obviously this is a brown. What is a dunkel? Let's very easily call it a brown ale. Now, for the beer snobs out there, there's a lot more to a dunkel than that description. But for those that are trying craft beer for the first time, that's what you're going to get: a brown ale that has a little more malt.
And Kirk, this is for me a little too malty for me. I like coffee, but just too much of a coffee taste. But how about you? Is this a beer you could see drinking?
Well, and I think even over the course of the time we've been doing this show, half a year, I feel like my taste buds are changing.
Yeah.
Because I used to like a really malty beer, and I'm kind of gravitating away from that a little bit. So this wouldn't necessarily be my favorite. I think it's really good, but I'm cut the malt back a little bit for me, and maybe it's just my IPA, Northeast IPA, New England IPA side of me now that's really digging that type of beer. So a little too much malt in it for me, but still tastes really good.
Were you guys Guinness drinkers when Guinness, you remember when Guinness got popular? What was that, about 10 years ago? That was, for kind of my age group, that was one of the first beers, I think, an IPA, if you will. I'm just curious, did you guys like Guinness?
Yeah, I wasn't 21 yet. when Guinness came out.
Hey now.
But no, never was a Guinness drinker. Still not really into the heavy beers too much. I will enjoy one with a good steak or a good beef patty
Or a schnitzel.
or schnitzel.
Gesundheit. Vamos a la playa.
So but this Dunkel, the reason why I love Four Rows Deep, not only the name, thank you Franklin Street for that name, but this Dunkel to the style is sweeter than most, and that's what I really like about this beer.
I think you hit it there.
By the way, my producer spelt it faux rose. That's why I read that. All right, this last one makes me a little nervous. You guys know me. It's a little scary. I don't like talking about the devil, let alone the devil's backbone, but it's an oatmeal stout. I'm pretty excited for this. Do they get the oatmeal from right down the street here at the Quaker Oats?
They may. We'll have to ask them.
We will have to.
Devil's Backbone is the name of the beer from Franklin Street. Devil's Backbone and oatmeal stout, 6.1%. And yes, you definitely pick up the oatmeal out of this stout. And if you're a dark beer drinker, divine.
Yeah, this is really, really good. I mean, obviously, you guys know I love their Drugstore Cowboy. We talked about that on
had that on the show,
back, which was one of the top IPAs in Iowa. But out of what you brought today, and I'm assuming the Tap Takeover outside of the Drugstore Cowboy, I would have been gravitating to this.
Well, what defines a Tap Takeover? There really is no definition as far as quantity is concerned. Typically, you should have at least 3, in my humble opinion, because 1 or 2, really, you can get that about anywhere, especially if you just go to the grocery store and take a beer home. But a Tap Takeover is the opportunity not only to get maybe their popular beer, but like what we did, maybe a couple beers you haven't heard of. So we had the opportunity to do 6. Not everybody is going to do that many, to be honest. But as long as they have 3, jump at the opportunity, get down there and check it out.
Now, at a Tap Takeover, are folks able to bring in their growlers and get them filled, or is that kind of we got a limited supply of beer here?
Well, I don't know of an establishment that doesn't fill a growler from somebody else. Like if you go to Bar A and bring in Bar B's growler, I don't know of anybody that doesn't do that. But you may want to, if this is your first trip over there, you may want to give them a call just to make sure. But I know we do. You can buy our own growler, but if you bring in somebody else's and want to buy our beer, of course we're going to fill it up.
All right, guys, time to make our recommendations. And you heard me talking before. I think the second 2 a little dark for me, but I'm going to go with the River Runner, the Hefeweizen 5.3 ABV. I want to have another one. I want to see. I just want to have another beer, but I'm hoping after the show we can do that. But I'm going to go with the River Runner. How about you, Drew?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Four Rows Deep. I just love the name. I'm a big guy on names. I think that's what attracts people to beer, just to get them to try first and foremost. But I really like the sweetness on the finish of this Dunkel. Four Rows Deep. That's my favorite.
Very cool, Bill. All right, what do you think, Kirk? Speaking of names.
And I'm going with, obviously, the Devil's Backbone. So the 3 of us agree on absolutely nothing
Absolutely nothing, but we do believe in craft beer, and that's why we do this show. Now, before we go, do me a favor, give a shout-out to Franklin Street, some of the guys you work with down at your restaurant there, the Mellow Mushroom in Coralville.
Yeah, they self-distribute, and Chad is the one that I work with, and he does a great job up there, and his brother also. And if you're ever in Manchester, Iowa, they're right there downtown in the old Mosaic building, I believe they call it.
It's one of the oldest historic buildings that a brewery is in Iowa, if I remember the story.
Yeah, nice. Very cool.
So no, they do a great job. But if you're ever around, look for their tap handles. They have a little swivel to them.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for this show, the Craft Beer Corner. Do me a favor, share this page, tell your friends, and enjoy it with us because it is the Craft Beer Corner where we're making beer drinking great again.